Look at that cute little geranium bud. And there's another one and another one. They're flourishing inside. When do you want to go outside? Well, I think we're going to have to wait for at least April Fool's Day. Mother Nature really pulling a fast one on us this middle of March. Got to refocus. There we go. 3 lenses on this iPhone. Look at that sky. How dynamic. I could just sit here and talk about the sky right here for 10 minutes. But there's a lot more to do. We have some of the least impactful weather in New England right now here on Cape Cod. The Ice Bucket Challenge, it melted yesterday. Putting my fingers in that water yesterday is the reason they froze while I was taping. Not putting my fingers in there today. We did have a frost last night. Now let's empty this bucket. All right, yeah, emptying this bucket. So this is my official rain gauge for tomorrow morning. I'm still gonna be down here. Could we get 2 inches of rain? If it happens here, it's going to happen in a very short time because most of the action is missing us to the west and north right now. But real dynamic sky. You can see the churning and the chaos in the sky just right here in South Dennis where not much is happening. But there is a lot happening away from here. Let's start with the temperature map. We are about 43, 44 degrees here on Cape Cod with the air coming from the south. And then in Vermont, it's about 20, 22 degrees with air coming from the north. On the top of Mount Washington, it's about 15 degrees with air coming from the south. Wait, you just said the air was coming from the north in Vermont and the south on top of Mount Washington. But at the base of Mount Washington, the air is coming from the north. What's going on? It's called High Barometer cold, opposite of last week. Look at the surface map here. There's a 27, I think, high in Quebec. That's air moving from Quebec toward New England, from Canada and the North Pole into New England, in northern New England. And then you look off to the south, and how many low pressure systems do you see for this afternoon? I think I see 1, Massachusetts, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down to the Bahamas. 6 low pressure systems coming north into that high pressure system. So air from the tropics is meeting air from the North Pole, really, right here in New England. A clash of the air masses. Oh yeah, and the West Coast. Look at that. How many lows in the West? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Both corners of the United States occupied by storms today. I call this one kind of a high barometer storm because the low pressure is not that low. And if you look at the national map, there are winter storm watches and warnings in effect from California to the northern plains to New England. About 20 states here on March 23rd under some kind of winter weather advisory. And look at all the wind warnings in Texas. And we have a wind advisory here in Cape Cod for southerly winds this afternoon. So what's going on is air's coming up from the Bahamas. Let's look at the satellite here. You can see the southern end of the cloud with serious thunderstorms over the Florida Keys, northern Cuba, the Bahamas, and that cloud is reaching north all the way up into Quebec. So that's air coming from the south at high levels of the atmosphere, and it's overrunning colder air at lower levels of the atmosphere, resulting in a major snowstorm this morning. It's snowing close to 1 inch an hour where it's coldest at Stowe Mountain Resort. There's Rich out there with the snow blower. They're cleaning off the skating rink. There's ice skating and skiing. If you can get there, I hear traffic is a mess. A powder day on a Saturday, people day tripping it. Oh, brutal.
Powder run on Moonbeam.
And it's not just snow, too, because, the high barometer cold, that means cold down near the ground and warmer up in the sky. Completely opposite of last week. And this is what it looks like in Beckett, Massachusetts this morning. John Lowell says it's 30 degrees. Snow changed to sleet to rain, so that's freezing rain. So we've got the whole gamut happening in New England today. I didn't really run it, but here's the NAM. I can visualize it, though, in my head. With green moving into Cape Cod, light rain moving in, heavy rain, yellow coming in, thunderstorms possibly developing late in the day, and the purple is the sleet, and the red is the freezing rain, and the blue is the heavy snow. The back edge pulling across the Connecticut River, I believe about sunset. And then it's not that windy. So where it's all snow, north of Killington, north of Sunday River, it's a powder day, not only today, but tomorrow without too much wind. The barometer's not really going that low, maybe to about 1,003 or 4 millibars in northern New England, then it gradually builds up again tomorrow, but the word is gradually. So tomorrow, the sun comes out. Look at the birds, look at the clouds. How can I not? This is what I did. I grew up just staring at the sky right in this very location. That oak tree, in case you're new here, and I are the same age, just past 60. And that poplar too. That poplar was supposed to only live 30 or 40 years. Extraordinary. And the forsythia is more in bloom on Weymouth than it is on Cape Cod. That's how that works usually. There's the forsythia, and it's blooming inside the house. Anyhow, should have brought some pussy willows down too. All right, we'll do our transit to the backyard, and we'll do our transit to what happens after this storm. Yeah, everyone's covered how much snow we're going to get. It's a foot to 2 feet of snow where it's all snow. But it's not all snow. Wintry mix is expected across the forecast area. Yeah, oh, much less windy back here. It's interesting. There was some frost on the roof over there earlier in the morning, but that's since melted. All right, so what's going to happen tomorrow after the sun comes out? Let's go to the Euro. Did you want to see one more thing, though, about the precipitable water today and the tropical connection? Yeah, you did. I didn't show it. So there's the precipitable water, and the blue is the 1-inch precipitable water coming right up from the tropics into southern New England. The plum is 2 inches. That stays just south of us. And then that goes away tomorrow. Oh, you want to see the 500 millibar flow too? All right. So it's a ripping stream across the country, but you see the subtle trough in central Canada delivering cold air from northern Canada to just north of our storm. And then there's the southerly flow with the ridging near Bermuda. And so that's the clash of the air masses. Air from the North Pole meeting air from the tropics right over New England. And then that kind of lifts out. And then it gets all kinkified. There's a major trough in the middle of the nation. There could be a blizzard in the middle of the country here. And then let's go take it out to, it's no man's land for New England. Really tough call for Thursday, Friday. We'll talk about that in a second. And then April Fool's Day. Look at that. I call that the slingshot. You got that trough in the southwestern United States, bringing air from the central Pacific into the eastern United States, and the ridge in the eastern Pacific bringing polar air to much of Canada and parts of northern New England. So this stormy pattern is going to continue. Okay, now let's go to the day by day because it is fascinating. There's our fairly weak low pressure system, but a lot of isobars because of high pressure to the north pulling out tonight. Tomorrow, high pressure builds. I think we're going to have sunshine. So the forecast for our Sunday and Monday is looking pretty good now. But once again, we got to stop at Monday morning. We did this yesterday too. So Monday morning, we got 2 storms there, one over the middle of the nation, one off of the eastern United States, and dual high pressure systems in Canada. Over Manitoba, that's a 1039 high, north of a 987 low, potential blizzard. We talked about it. South Dakota, Minnesota, Monday. And then our storm there, south of Cape Cod, is 997 or 996 with a 1044. That's a 48 millibar pressure gradient. Air flowing from that high, from the north, and winding because the earth is spinning, coming in from the northeast here on Cape Cod, perhaps 20 to 40 miles an hour with a high barometer nor'easter here on Cape Cod. Meanwhile, the Atlantic Prediction Center says there may be hurricane force winds out near that low Sunday night and Monday. Major swell alert. It looks like, from the Ocean Prediction Center, I meant to say, there could be about a 12-second period. That's a long period. It's a heavy-duty swell. And, oh, it's full moon, too. Wow. More beach erosion. And the height, 9 meters south of Nantucket. And about 3 meters near Nantucket and Cape Cod. So that's a 10 to 15-foot swell at 12 seconds on the day of the full moon. Surf. Ski, weather. Now let's go back in motion. So those storms generating wind from the east, from south of Newfoundland, right through New England, right into the Great Lakes, and all the way into southern Canadian Rockies. That's buckling in the atmosphere, and it looks like that storm wants to stay just offshore. And then Wednesday and Thursday, depending on where a warm front goes, parts of southern New England could get really warm and humid here with downpours possible Wednesday, Thursday. But then that 5-10 cutoff there in Ontario, that's more Arctic air is coming into southeastern Canada, and they kind of clash. The tropical air and the polar or Arctic air clash near New England again next weekend. Doesn't show anything big, but there's a lot of energy there. And then on April Fool's Day, got another storm coming out of the southwest, more cold air here. It just ensures more action. So I don't think we can trust the forecast beyond 48 hours right now. Not going to get back north until about Tuesday or so. So by then, we're going to be more classic spring weather. It'll probably be warmer where the sun is out in northern New England the middle of the week than it's going to be down here on Cape Cod, where it may be a cold rain and may turn really tropical with dew points possibly near 60 for a time Thursday. So that's really rich moisture and more cold air coming at us. Guarantees more action for the rest of the month. Yesterday, serious emotional day for so many reasons I can't really get into, but a lot of contacts with new and really old friends, and that's going to continue today. And I did some looking around at places that I've been looking around at for my entire life. So I'm going to leave you some scenes with what these storms have done near my neighborhood and continue to do. There's nothing we can do about the ocean rising, and that's impacting my neighborhood. And the moon last night, horsing around with Chuck, watching the full warm moon, almost full warm moon, disappear behind clouds, and anticipating real intense downpours this afternoon. We'll keep you posted. Talk to you again tomorrow. So we're down on the banks of Bass River as the clouds increase on this March 22nd. It's still cold. What a winter it has been for storms, and here is another one. And before we even get to this storm, look at this erosion that's occurred here on the banking of Fallon's Pond and Bass River. Now we gain sand, but it's at the loss of some of the banking. So as long as there's no homes that are going to fall in, that's not a bad thing. But the homes are not far away from here. A couple of homeowners down there blending with the trees. And this is where we grew up. And you can see the sand is expansive. So the sand is actually accumulating. We get more sand, but again, at the expense of the banking. Yeah, Mother Nature just accelerated a little bit this winter. Back to back storms. It was really the December 18th storm. And the fact that these oak trees that were so small when we were kids got so big. So at one point they go from stabilizing the bank to destabilizing the bank. So now you got to deal with this. It's pretty. There's Yarmouth right over there. We will rebuild. This is how high the tide comes right now. Well, these days, not right now. Maybe with the full moon on Monday, though. Where's the red-winged blackbird? I can hear him. That means there's fresh water nearby, too, and that means it's springtime. .5:30. Also on Bass River. What is that stuff? Growing on the beach plum. Cedar. I hear a red-winged blackbird. It's a sign of spring. Also a sign of spring, the March moon is called the worm moon. And this storm, definitely good for the worms. So there's a ripping flow aloft from the west. The first wave of energy coming across the Great Lakes with snow already developing in New York and Vermont. But our surface wind here is from the south. So ultimately, warm air riding over the top of the colder air is going to result in that snowstorm north. Here on Cape Cod, it's rain, heavy rain late. So I might get some of my Saturday chores in. And this body of water also on Bass River, there's Mayfair Boatyard, is called Kelly's Bay. There's Route 6. I always make the videos coming over Route 6. Named after David O'Keelia. Apparently the first Kelly to come to Cape Cod. And all the rest of us Kellys are his ancestors. Apparently there was a lot of erosion over there too. Go look at that another time. Well, there's your Friday evening and more and more and more. Making the dogs bark. Was that an owl or a mourning dove?
I don't know, but he didn't call me back.
Oh, bastard. Nice roof, Chuck.
Thanks.
And warm moon there. Birds are singing. Is that an owl?
Yeah.
Is that new flashing? Darn. Chuck got a new roof. How long did it take to get that roof installed?
2 hours and 45 minutes.
I want those guys.
7 guys.
Brothers Roofing from Quincy, in case anyone's interested. What's that noise?
2 hours and 45 minutes. Cleaned up, gone, done.
Amazing.
10.5 square.
Does it leak yet?
Doesn't leak, but we need a satellite signal, and we don't have it adjusted
Okay.
right. So
One more thing to do.
direct TV is kind of dicking us around.
Oh yeah, and lastly, there's not a cloud in the sky on Cape Cod as the sun goes down, even though it's already begun to snow in New York and Vermont. Weather is fascinating.
Around here.
And his garden's all cleaned out already.
I get some sad news though.
The oak tree, it's gotta go. I understand.
For the sake of
Nothing lasts
more
forever.
sunlight to the solar panels.
Yeah, which you don't have, but I guess you're gonna get.
That was one of the things I had to. I don't want to do it, but. Hey, okay, yeah, good. Let all the heat out.
There's plenty more heat there. More and more and more heat. Feel the love. Good night, everybody. Where'd my friend Chuck go? Okay, bye-bye.